Thousands of New Mexicans joined a nationwide No Kings Day protest on Saturday, denouncing the Trump administration's actions, particularly immigration raids and deportations. Albuquerque-based CSI Aviation is playing a central role in President Trump's renewed mass deportation efforts under a federal contract worth up to $260 million. The state's proposed workplace heat safety rule aimed at protecting workers from heat-related illness has sparked intense debate and has been delayed at least until next year. A deadly 3-mile stretch of Central Avenue in southeast Albuquerque, where pedestrian deaths have risen since 2018, is now the focus of a $5 million city initiative to improve pedestrian safety. Bernalillo County is taking steps to launch a civil legal services fund to help low-income residents access legal aid in non-criminal cases. And in rural Fort Sumner, New Mexico, where access to medical specialists require a 6-hour round trip, a new initiative from the University of New Mexico Health Services Center is offering residents a lifeline. From the Albuquerque Journal, this is the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. It's Monday, June 16th, and we'll have more on those stories, plus a look at the weather forecast on the other side of this break.
This episode is brought to you by the Kirtland Partnership Committee. For 30 years, we've been dedicated to supporting, growing, and preserving the Kirtland National Security Complex. We work tirelessly to enhance military readiness, foster community partnerships, improve quality of life, and promote economic development right here in New Mexico. Join us in our mission to ensure that Kirtland remains a cornerstone of national security and a key provider of quality jobs and investment for all of Greater Albuquerque. Together, we can make a powerful impact. Kirtland Partnership Committee, proudly shaping the future of our national security for 30 years.
Thousands of New Mexicans joined a nationwide No Kings Day protest on Saturday, denouncing the Trump administration's actions, particularly immigration raids and deportations. Demonstrators gathered in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and Las Cruces, waving American, Palestinian, and Mexican flags. Many wore Burger King crowns to mock the concept of authoritarianism and carried protest signs like, quote, ISIS for tea, not refugees. The Albuquerque rally featured speeches by Representative Melanie Stansberry and other local leaders, drawing parallels to historic civil rights movements. First-time protesters like Sean Wells, dressed as a pink Statue of Liberty, and a Vietnam-era veteran Kurt Wolf voiced concerns about Trump's attacks on democracy and the rule of law. In Santa Fe and Las Cruces, marches remained peaceful and spirited, with community members donating goods and calling for action. Organizers emphasized the protests were about defending democratic values and resisting authoritarian tendencies. Albuquerque-based CSI Aviation is playing a central role in President Trump's renewed mass deportation efforts under a federal contract worth up to $260 million with the Department of Homeland Security. The company coordinates deportation flights through subcontractors like Avelo and Global X Airlines, though the flights themselves operate out of cities like Miami, San Antonio, and Mesa, not here in New Mexico. Deportation activity has increased sharply since March, with May seeing 190 removal flights, the highest since 2021. Despite the uptick, Trump's daily deportation numbers still trail slightly behind Biden's, while arrests are up 2%, according to the TRAC. Critics say the secrecy of ICE flight schedules and the treatment of detainees undermines safety and human rights. CSI, led by former GOP Senate candidate Alan Way, has received over $1.6 billion in ICE contracts since 2005 and hosted a Trump rally at its Albuquerque hangar last fall. Way has also donated over $200,000 to Trump's political efforts. New Mexico's proposed workplace heat safety rule, aimed at protecting workers from heat-related illness, has sparked intense debate and has been delayed at least until January of 2026. The rule would apply to all workplaces when the heat index exceeds 80 degrees Fahrenheit, requiring rest breaks, shade, water, and monitoring. More than 830 heat-related ER visits have already occurred since April. Advocates, including labor unions and climate groups, argue the rule is common sense and urgent as summer temperatures rise. But industry leaders, especially in construction, call it overly broad, impractical, and costly, citing concerns about work stoppages and scheduling delays during peak heat months. The New Mexico Environment Department will revise the rule based on feedback and submit an updated version by October. A final decision is expected in January, with implementation likely next summer, too late for workers who are facing extreme heat this year. A deadly 3-mile stretch of Central Avenue in southeast Albuquerque, where pedestrian deaths rose from 8 in 2018 to 40 in 2024, is now the focus of a $5 million city initiative to improve pedestrian safety. The project includes adding mid-block crossings, 200 pedestrian lights, and repurposing wildlife detection signs to alert drivers. The city also plans to install business access and transit lanes and 2 pedestrian-activated crosswalks by 2026, with a groundbreaking set for this summer. However, critics argue these efforts fall short. Advocates like Scott Key say a true lane reduction, not just a restriping, is needed to make the area feel less like a freeway and force drivers to slow down. Despite Albuquerque's long-standing Vision Zero pledge to reduce pedestrian deaths, East Central continues to be one of the deadliest corridors in both the city and the state. New Mexico remains one of the most dangerous states for pedestrians, with a fatality rate of 2 per 100,000 people. Critics say systematic change and more substantial investment, not just quick fixes, are needed to save lives. Bernalillo County is taking early steps to launch a civil legal services fund to help low-income residents access legal aid in non-criminal cases, such as housing disputes, immigration proceedings, and employment issues. The county commission approved $250,000 in seed funding by a 4-1 vote, directing the county manager to explore the program's creation. Commissioner Adrian Barboa, who sponsored the resolution, acknowledged the modest amount, but emphasized the goal is to offer meaningful support to residents who can't afford lawyers, even in a county that houses over half of the state's lawyers. The fund will be modeled after New Mexico's statewide civil legal services program and will draw money from the county's general fund. The county will soon solicit bids for legal service providers with built-in safeguards to ensure the funds are only used for indigent civil legal aid. Commissioner Walt Benson cast the lone dissenting vote, citing concerns about efficiency and the potential for misuse, saying it may fuel frivolous lawsuits rather than expand access to justice. And in rural Fort Sumner, New Mexico, where access to medical specialists require a 6-hour round trip, a new initiative from the University of New Mexico Health Sciences Center is offering a lifeline: telehealth booths. These private, soundproof, wheelchair-accessible rooms are being installed in libraries across the state to give residents free access to virtual medical appointments. So far, booths are in places like Aztec, Mescalero, and Gallup, with Fort Sumner's library expecting one by August. Funded by a USDA grant, each $12,000 booth accommodates 2 to 3 people and is meant to reduce travel burdens for families needing medical care. Users schedule their own telehealth appointments and access them through personal health portals. The booths aren't just for healthcare, they can also be used for job interviews, virtual classes, or podcasting. In Fort Sumner, the booth will double as a small radio station and a creative space, with the hopes it will bring teens back to the library. UNMH plans to install 5 to 10 more booths by the year's end, though future locations have not yet been announced. The leading news is powered by the journalism of the Albuquerque Journal. If you enjoy hearing all of the stories we share with you here daily, please consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Journal by utilizing the discount code in our show notes. Each subscription helps support local journalism and allows us to provide you with the news that matter to you. Now taking a look at Albuquerque's weather forecast. Today you can expect sunny skies with a high near 101 degrees, and as for this evening, partly cloudy with a low around 64. To keep up with all the latest news from the Albuquerque Journal, you can visit our website at abqjournal.com. That's the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. We'll be back tomorrow.